Hey guys, how's it going? Preparing here. So earlier today I did a Hearthstone tournament. I signed up for this shit like 2 weeks ago or something. I kind of forgot about it, and when I realized that I signed up and looked it up again, it was pretty early in the day, so that's why I'm not streaming quite at this time. But I want to tell you guys about the tournament format of Hearthstone because some people really like watching Hearthstone, but on the other side, some people think there's going to be like MLG Hearthstone tournaments and all that, and honestly, I don't think there's too much potential in that in the current state of the game right now. Yeah, there might be. There probably was like very little that shit involved in like World of Warcraft, but that shit went off anyway just because some people were interested. So maybe I'll be wrong. But basically, what happens in tournaments is there is kind of like a meta game. So there are decks that just destroy other decks. I ended up winning against the Rogue, and it was like a joke. And most Rogue decks are pretty much the same thing. So I guess my deck was pretty good against all the Rogues. The deck that I played, I just made a deck for fun last night. It's like a Paladin deck with weenie creatures. It's pretty fast. So it's pretty good. I won most of the games yesterday against random people. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll just play that. As I played it, I didn't, sideboard anything, even though it was allowed, because I didn't really give a shit. And I beat this rogue, and then I faced Wreckful, and Wreckful had a Druid deck, and he has Savagery, which wipes all my creatures. Then he has Swipe, which wipes all my creatures. Then he has Starfall, which wipes all my creatures. And then he has a few big creatures, which wipe most of my creatures. So it was really, really tough. It's pretty much the meta game I'm talking about. That kind of deck is pretty much designed to destroy the kind of deck that I built. And it's actually really close. I killed him decisively in the first game. In the second game, he got a few lucky draws and, ended up slightly in his favor, mostly because he killed so many of my creatures, I actually ran out of cards in my deck. I had nothing left in my deck, so kind of sucked that way. And the third game, he had a really good ooze, which destroyed my True Silver Champion, and I kind of lost momentum at that point. But overall, pretty close games. I was actually surprised it was even close at all. I thought he'd just destroy me with a deck like that. But, he queued up into, I believe it was a Hunter, and the Hunter killed him because Hunter creatures typically have more than 2 defense. So all that savagery, all that swipe, all that random bullshit that kills most of the creatures. So my deck tend to not kill the creatures in the Hunter deck, so it's much harder matchup. And yeah, I could have changed a few things in my deck to probably re-counter, or I could have just built an entirely new Paladin deck that counters Druid decks. There's a lot of stuff they can do. But all in all, this kind of rule set that was set, I initially thought that you could just switch your deck completely, but the rules of this tournament was that you can only switch cards within your class. So, I have like 10 decks, and I know which one counters which. So I thought that I'll play the Paladin, and, if I run into like a Druid deck, well, I'll just play the Suicide Warlock deck, and just shit all over that crap. And no, apparently you can't do that. You have to stay within your class. So I didn't really care. But, the meta game kind of played itself. A lot of people had really good decks. The people that played were all fairly good players. They all played pretty quickly, pretty accurately, and the better deck in the end won, in my opinion, and it was Trump's Rogue deck. And I saw some of the matches that he played, and he got really lucky in all of the ones that he won. But it's typically how it is. Rogue, as I mentioned before, Rogue is the kind of class that if you get the right cards, no one can beat you. And that was the case in a lot of the matches that he won. But in the ones where it was close, he played perfectly, and it was well enough that he marginally edged out a win. So Rogue, really strong, in my opinion. Druid, really strong. Hunter is pretty strong. Hunter's really good because it doesn't take anything. And there's a bunch of weenie decks that you can make with anything. The reason I played Paladin is because of Divine Favor, which draws as many cards as your opponent has in his hand. So I play all my little weenie creatures, and I can draw again to play another wave of tiny weenie creatures. So I don't know, it's kind of fun deck. I don't really know where it fits in all the meta scene, but it was pretty cool. Most tournaments, I think you can expect to be fairly entertaining, just because there isn't much that's known about the game. But as far as I can tell from the current set of cards, from the current set of decks, there really isn't much variability between them. And people are gonna have to get really creative to make this shit exciting, to make it different from one tournament compared to another. Because you know, you're going to see rogue decks that are pretty much the same. Maybe 2, maybe 4 cards will be different, and, you know, that will pretty much trend for most of the other decks. There are some classes that, you know, have a lot of variation, but most of the variation is, you know, fictional. It's just shitty versions of the good decks. So, yeah, we'll see. Overall, though, quite a bit of fun. I know a lot of people enjoyed watching me play, some of the people that I did, and, you know, that's really what counts, at least for the short term. So, good stuff. Hope you guys enjoy. You guys check it out if you haven't, and see you guys tomorrow.